Welcome to the 2023 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday, October 17, 2023 edition. We're going to be talking about three things today. The retail sales numbers rose expectantly, almost up to 1%. We're going to be talking about can the military afford, the U.S. military afford to have a lot of different things, conflicts going on, and still keep the economy strong. We're also going to be talking about the inflation. Hyperinflation is still going to be going strong into 2024 with a twist as well, with some people becoming out winners of this thing, while others are going to be still struggling to get things together. So we're going to look at all these things. Please just be sure to subscribe to this channel. I thank you all for your support over the years as we continue to unmask or interpret financial news as we see it on the channel here today. So you can see on these images here, we have a lot of homelessness that's increasing. We have a lot of food inflation, house inflation, gas inflation, and people are moving out of the core of the cities into the exurbs, the suburbs, the hinterland, back into more simpler times as everybody anticipates downsizing and getting ready for the years to come of lean earnings and things of those natures. So apparently, we have, according to CNBC.com, retail sales rose 0.07% in September, much stronger than the estimate of 0.03%. Excluding auto sales. Okay, so we have these gains here, but we also have things that are troubling. The 30-year T-bond and 10-year T-note continues to rise almost to 5% now, and so even though the interest rates are rising and people are saying that savers are getting more money on their savings accounts, it's not outpacing the thing of the rate of inflation. And then secondly, the banks are making a huge killing off of these interest rates because the loans that are being drawn off for new houses and new cars or new boats or whatever. They're making a ton of interest and a ton of money out there. So banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank are actually experiencing a third quarter profit as a result of these high interest rates. So they're making a winning, and there's no surprise there. Many of you know that was going to be the case. Now, secondly, we want to talk about the way that this economy is going into this last quarter. I told you guys that the fourth quarter is going to be interesting because not only do we have conflicts at the homeland, we have conflicts abroad, obviously, and that's going to play a role in this economy because the amount of money the government was trying to cut back and not spend as much money, but now it looks like we're going to be spending more money, as you can see here. Janet Yellen has this to say, according to CNBC.com. She says, quote, "The U.S. can certainly afford military support to both Israel and Ukraine." That's what she says. Now, remember, she was the one that said about a year ago that inflation is under control and that we won't have hyperinflation, we won't have anything like that. And now inflation is, it did drop, 2 percentage points, but was still above 5%. Really, in reality, we're above 10%, but the official numbers say we're at 5%. So we'll go with that. But Janet Yellen has been wrong more than once, and this time she says the U.S. can certainly afford that. Yeah, because they have the unlimited printing machine. They have, all of this money that we have to support the military industrial complex, which is fine. That is okay. Every person has the right, every country and person has the right to sovereignty. I'm not going to get into the politics, but I am going to say that when a country is stretched too thin, both militarily and economically, you know how that worked out, how that ends. And so Janet Yellen's making a statement, but we were in Afghanistan and Iraq for over 20 years, and we can all see the results of that, regardless of whatever political affiliation you're from. It became a quagmire, a stalemate. Money was spent that was never recovered. And it put a lot of young, a lot of our soldiers and other soldiers at risk, as for casualties and different things like that. And so this can be another conflict that could last, months or years, just like Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, etc. You guys know how this goes in America. But unfortunately, this is what America's committed to. So this means more government spending, more big government, for more defense spending. All of this is going to be coming into play. And so my question is, though, I'm looking at a standpoint as who's going to take care of the homeland? Who's going to spend? Remember, we had all these bills before about the infrastructure, shovel-worthy projects, all of this stuff. What's going to be spent on our homeless veterans? What's going to be spent on improving our roads, our bridges, our schools? If our taxes are going to go up as a result of all these quote-unquote conflicts, what is the U.S. getting in return on the homeland? And if the U.S. infrastructure cannot improve into the 21st century, and other countries like South Korea, Japan, Singapore China have first world infrastructure and production, as well as production and the manpower to produce, as we only have 350,000 people in America, what is that going to do to our American homes, American businesses on the homeland front? They're going to obviously deteriorate, in my opinion, unfortunately. And that leads to crime, because as the money and the credit dries up here, and other countries begin, standard of living and everything rises up as a result of rebuilding, either from a conflict or rebuilding as a result of, foreign investment, because it gets the hyperinflation gets so much in the United States that all the companies decide to ship, continue to work overseas, and people start to work remotely. That means we're going to see more crime go up, and as a result, that means that stocks and homes are only going to be affordable to the rich. And so we get a system like of a neo-feudalism, kind of like a system that's going to be based on only the rich, the top 1% again will have, even though they say everything is equal, it's going to have money to buy these stocks and homes that are going to be pricey. Most people think, according to MarketWatch.com, that inflation will stay high. As you know, inflation is going to be extremely high. And the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, even though he said his goal was 2%, it would have taken so many raises to rate so much to get to 2%, just like Paul Volcker did in the 1970s. You're talking mortgage rates that could get above 10% by the end of this year, let alone next year. We still have one more year before we can go through another election cycle, and mortgage rates are at 8% almost now. So you can see mortgage rates getting to 10% before the end of this year, and it's only going to go up from there, because Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has stated that he's not lowering rates anytime soon. So people are saying that the lower rates are not going to come. The first pivot by the Federal Reserve is not coming to like 2025, the middle of 2025, if that at all. So this is going to cause the U.S. economy to contract into some kind of soft recession. That's what everybody's hoping for. Or it could be a hard recession if things are hardening. Because right now, the inflation expectations are hardening, as the media is reporting. What the media is not telling you is that jobs, even though we have a lot of job vacancies, they're not being filled in the education sector and the healthcare sector, with all these strikes going on with nurses and all the different things going on, and they're not in the transportation sector or other sectors. So this is a very interesting time that we're living in this economy. So I continue everyone to continue to get prepared, both physically, mentally, spiritually, because remember, we are in a spiritual warfare here. It's not just economic, your contents, the battle for your soul, because your economics, everything should be flowing out of that, especially in this times that we're living in now. So I thank you for joining me. I'll be back with more information once we get more earnings reports and more jobs numbers coming out on Thursday and Friday. And we're going to discuss ways that we can prepare, not just financially, but discuss ways we can prepare socially, as well as protect ourselves spiritually as well from the bombardment of propaganda that's going to be coming out to keep this economy afloat, as people try to decide what ways they're going to be cutting back on, what things they can live without in the future. Thank you very much for joining me. Talk to you very soon. Be sure to subscribe. Talk to you later. God bless.